Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the modern-day Mary Richards, Ms. Katie Couric.
You're gonna make it after all.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, or as the fourth hour of the Today Show calls it, 5 o'clock somewhere. It's great to see you all. On behalf of New York Women in Communications and our corporate host, Hearst Magazines, welcome to the 2017 New York Women in Communications Matrix Awards. Now, here's a little-known fact. What precipitated Lou Grant's comment that Mary had spunk? It was because she told him she wanted to cover a woman's march. That's right. That's why we thought it was only appropriate to replace Mary's blue striped beret with something a little more of the moment. Now, as we just heard, I was not the only little girl who was inspired by Mary Tyler Moore. That big wooden M at her apartment in Minneapolis didn't just stand for Mary. It stood for modern, magnetic, and my favorite word, moxie. We, of course, lost Mary this year, but as we look back at her extraordinary life and career, I think we're reminded of the power and importance of role models. And that's what we're here to celebrate today. Yes, you ladies we're honoring have spunk. And unlike Lou Grant, I love spunk. And I'm thrilled to be your host today, or as Roger Ailes might say, your stewardess. New York Women in Communications and the Matrix Awards have always had a special place in my heart. But besides having the honor of winning a Matrix Award back in 1999, presented by someone who apparently 65 million of our fellow Americans think very highly of, Hillary Clinton, I've also had the privilege of presenting a Matrix 4 times. Now I'm the MC, so a trifecta. Clearly, I have a lot of free time. Today, you will be meeting 7 badass women who are not just shaping our world, they're changing it for the better, kind of like Spanx. First off, Rukmini Kalamaki. No, that is not an appetizer in a Greek restaurant. That's the name of arguably the best reporter on the most important beat in the world. As a New York Times correspondent covering terrorism, her work explores not just what jihadists do, but how they do it. She might be the one person who actually does know more than the generals. Rukmini, by the way, flew in from Iraq just last night to join us. So please give her a round of applause. Next up, Gretchen Carlson. Gretchen, where are you? Hi, Gretchen. Where do I begin? Maybe the same way I began the last tribute I wrote for you in this week's Time magazine. I've often said when I started in TV news back in the late 1970s, harass was 2 words instead of 1. That always takes a minute to seep in. Apparently, that never really changed for some people at Fox News. Hashtag not your hot chocolate. Not only is Gretchen a Stanford grad who spent a year at Oxford, she's also a concert violinist and a former Miss America. Now she is a national feminist hero. Okay, Gretchen, enough already. Actually, Gretchen is one of my role models for having the courage to say, that's not okay. And what a difference her voice has made. Gretchen Carlson. Susan Cradle, Global Chief Creative Officer at FCB, has made a huge impact in the advertising industry. This modern-day Peggy Olson has put the kibosh on the Mad Men era. And speaking of great TV, if you're wondering who's the boss, well, she is. From that mayhem dude wreaking havoc in the Allstate commercials to those zany anthropomorphic M&Ms, that's a good word, isn't it? She's crafted some of the most memorable marketing campaigns of the last decade with no chocolate mess. So let's give her a round of applause. Savannah Guthrie, co-anchor of Today. That sounds like an interesting job. Sharp as a tack and a real legal eagle, Savannah can cross-examine everyone from Kellyanne Conway to Elizabeth Warren with insight and intelligence. Meanwhile, she gets extra credit for looking far and wide to find her presenter today. I have to say, we're all very sorry that George Clooney wasn't available. Just kidding, Matt. And Kristen Lemkow, Chief Marketing Officer, JP Morgan Chase, was named one of the top 50 CMOs last year, and she's a lifelong Red Sox fan as well. Oh, I'm so sorry. The rest of my glowing introduction just mysteriously disappeared. So weird. Go Yankees. Oh, wait, here it is. Kristen operates under the principle that brands should be purpose-driven above all else. In fact, she's dedicated much of her time to preventing gun violence and breaking the cycle of poverty. She believes deeply in the importance of paying it forward by cultivating a culture at JP Morgan that helps young people learn the ropes and get ahead. But the toughest part of her job, of course, is getting Jamie Dimon to do an interview. Or not. That's a little inside joke, Kristen. Give Kristen a round of applause. Judy Smith. So what can we say about the woman who inspired Olivia Pope in Scandal, our Thursday night guilty pleasure? Judy was the master of disaster for President George H.W. Bush, represented Kobe Bryant, and helped Sony deal with that massive international fallout from the North Korean hack triggered by a Seth Rogen movie. No, you cannot make this stuff up. But as far as I know, she hasn't gotten to make out with Tony Goldwyn, and in my opinion, that's a real scandal. Let's have a round of applause for Judy Smith. And finally, Nancy Weber, Executive Vice President, Branding and Marketing Partnerships at Meredith, and past president of New York Women in Communications. Nancy has a brain for business and a heart for good. She does great things quietly behind the scenes, but today, whether she likes it or not, the spotlight is on her. So please give it up for this incredible slate of accomplished women.